beautiful creatures of my world, and welcome back to Coffee with Kerri-Lynn. It's a gorgeous day here in the far north of Maine up along the Canadian border. I hope you're all having a beautiful day wherever you might be. I hope you're having a day filled with fabulosity and dang good coffee, because we all deserve dang good coffee to get through our day. This episode is about Sarah Grace Patrick from Carroll County, Georgia. She's the 17-year-old TikToker who was arrested for allegedly sMurdering her mother, Kristen, and her stepfather, Jamie Brock, back in February 2025. The backstory, in case you are unfamiliar with this case, is that while Sarah and her 5-year-old sister slept, their parents were sMurdered, shot in their own home. Now, the 5-year-old did discover the bodies. Sarah claims she never heard any gunshots while she slept. She did hear her father's, I think he was on a CPAP machine. She did hear the machine go off, but not the gunshots. The 5-year-old, after being interviewed, did disclose that she heard the gunshots. We're going to fast forward a little bit. In June, Sarah, who was a TikToker, started contacting TikTokers who do true crime and asking them to investigate the sMurder of her mom and her stepfather. All those months, Sarah was continuing to upload to her TikTok channel. She gave a eulogy at her mother and stepfather's funeral. And on July 9th, 2025, Sarah was arrested for the alleged sMurder of Kristen and Jamie Brock. Yesterday was her bond hearing, and the victim impact statements were absolutely, they were heartbreaking. Jamie's sister, Kimberly Bowling, right almost from the beginning, believed in her heart and soul that Sarah was guilty of this crime, and her victim impact statement was absolutely gut-wrenching. Now, Kimberly Bowling has done interviews with the local media, and one of the things that Kimberly has been very adamant about was that at family functions, Sarah was like the model child. She was quiet, she was polite, she was reserved, she got along with everybody, but that Jamie, her brother Jamie, who is now deceased, had told her many times, what you're seeing at these family gatherings, that's not the real Sarah. And he wouldn't elaborate really any further than that, except that what they were seeing was not the Sarah that he lived with. So it was very, very emotional and very, very trying to listen to those victim impact statements between Kimberly Bowling and also Jamie's son. That was gutting. Now, as far as the people in support of Sarah, her grandfather and her biological father insist that she is innocent, and people who stood up for her character in the courtroom yesterday consisted of her pastor, who says that she has a very strong faith and that she loved her parents very much, and her friend Caitlin's mother gave a statement in favor of Sarah. And this was a statement that was very, very enlightening. Now, Carrie Jensen, who has known Sarah since she was a young child, since she befriended her daughter, Caitlin, has had a lot of contact, years and years of contact with Sarah. And they were very close. Sarah considered Kerri a mother-type figure. Sarah would spend nights at the Jensen household. Caitlin would spend nights at the Brock household. And Kerri was there like from the beginning when Kristen and her first husband divorced. So she's known Sarah for a very long time. And she says that she noticed early on that there could be, she suspected that there was some trauma going on in that household just by the way Sarah would act and react in her household when there was a sleepover with the girls. One thing that Kerri said that stood out to her was that Sarah, while she was quiet and wonderful and a very loving child, Sarah was a perfectionist. She didn't want to make waves with anybody. And one thing that Kerri found that was really, really strange was that if Sarah asked if she could have something to eat, or she would ask to use the bathroom, and then she would apologize for it. To me, that's indicative of walking on eggshells in your own home, where you're just afraid anything that you do would set someone off. So these are the kind of things that happen when there's that kind of trauma in the household. You don't want to get yelled at, you don't want to get screamed at, maybe you don't, want any physical upside the head stuff happening to you. So you learn to apologize for everything you do everything as quietly as possible, and just kind of get around. And that's kind of what Kerri Jensen was alluding to. Kerri Jensen also said that Sarah had made a statement to her that she thought was really weird, but she kind of put it out of her head, and it kind of all came forward once Sarah was arrested. And Sarah had said to her that no matter what her parents did, she would always love them. And on the surface of it, not knowing anything about Sarah's upbringing, you wouldn't really think much of it, just a statement that a kid made, and okay, you just kind of and go about your day, right? But there has been some whispers that there is a possibility that allegedly Kristen and Jamie Brock had substance abuse problems. So we don't know. The other interesting fact that we learned during the bond hearing was that since July 9th, 2025, Sarah has been held in solitary confinement, and according to the sheriff's department, that is for Sarah's own protection. She's 17 and she's being housed in a facility where her safety is of immense concern to them. Bond hearings are interesting because you always kind of get the lay of the land. You try to see where the defense is going to go. You try to see where the prosecution is going to go. And so far, the prosecution has come out and made many statements like there's mountains of evidence against her. And you wait at the bond hearings to glean a little bit of that information. So while prosecution has said there's mountains of evidence against Sarah Grace Patrick, they alluded to nothing. And the defense didn't allude to anything either. So it all boils down to Sarah Grace Patrick is not getting bonded out. She is, going to stay in jail until her trial. I did another video about Sarah Grace Patrick and Devin Young. Devin is the 17-year-old young man from Maine who allegedly and was arrested. He is at the Long Creek Developmental Center the youth center in South Portland for taking the life of 49-year-old Sunshine Stewart of Union, Maine, while they were both residing at the Micmac campground. And we're going to have some more information about that. There's been some interesting developments concerning the history as far as police investigations at the Micmac campground. So we'll get into that. Devin is supposed to be back in court in September. He will have turned 18 by the time he goes back to court, and we will find out if he's going to get bonded out, and we will also find out if the state is going to allow him to be charged as an adult. So that's where we stand in the Sarah Grace Patrick, the 17-year-old TikToker, in her case. And like I said, we'll be following all of these developments. Ladies and gentlemen, guys and ghouls, beautiful creatures of my world, be the kindness that you would like to see in the world. And as always, Carpe Diem, because no one promised you a tomorrow.